Hi, Deron Brown here, and I'm here with the best-selling author Rom Wills. He wrote the book called Nice Guys and Players, and also Sexual Chemistry. The reason I have Rom Wills here today is because a lot of people on the internet are giving the wrong advice, in my opinion. It's a lot of guys who don't have success with women or enough experience with women to actually give valid advice to young men. And I believe it's creating a lot of problems within the manosphere or the dating specter of YouTube. So, Rom Wills, you can go ahead and give yourself a brief introduction.
Okay, I'm Rom Wills. I'm the author of the international bestseller Nice Guys and Players and also Sexual Chemistry. And the one thing with the one thing that I do is help men to evolve into their best selves through advice on develop themselves. Well, one to get women because a lot of guys concerned, but overall in life, as far as their success, their sovereignty, and things of that nature. I'm still known for the relationship stuff, and that's But when men actually apply what I teach, they find that they succeed in other areas of life as well because everything is connected.
How long have you been helping men become the best version of themselves?
Really, since well, it's an interesting story because I started out as a writer. I was writing books, started in '92. And the first thing I wrote was something called A Perfect Man for the Ladies. And it was a story. It was a story. I mean, it was a male main character, and the point of the character was to show his true self because he was pretending to be the perfect man for two different women. And a lot of women bought it, and it was hitting them in a different way. And I was like, they into this relationship stuff. And then I later wrote a pamphlet, really just to make like a little bit of money at vending shows called Finding a Good Man. Women ate it up. In fact, I was on a public access TV show back in DC back in the day on the basis of that pamphlet. What happened was many men said, "Hey, Ron, we need something too." And at first I was like, yeah, whatever, because most of my friends were players and were successful. But men kept saying, we need something too. We need something too. So I wrote something called Nice Guy's Guide to Meeting Attractive Women. I didn't even use my real name. I called myself Peter
Peter
Wilkes.
Will.
And then that just evolved into Nice Guys and
Okay.
Players. And in fact, it's interesting. The original version of it was called Nice Guys and Players Becoming the Man Black Women Want. And then that was a limited run, and I was going to do like a better edition. But then the night before the book was supposed to go to publication, I was at a cookout and they had white and Asian women there, and they were saying the exact same thing. So I said, wait a minute, this is bigger than the black community. So I immediately I pushed the publication date back. Immediately did an edit and edited out most of the references specifically to black culture. There's one I did leave in. I just couldn't edit it out, but most of the references, all of a sudden, boom, and it it exploded, literally all over the world. In fact, people hear about PUA. I know specifically about some PUAs who had copies of my book. They didn't say
Hmm.
anything publicly. And it was incredible. I mean, it was powerful. And the thing was, it wasn't that deep, in my opinion. It was just life
Yeah.
lessons.
You know, well, first off, why did you go by Peter Wilkes? What's that all about? Why did you come up with it?
That was just a screen. That was just a. I mean, because when I first wrote it, the pamphlet, I was like, man, this is corny. I don't want to use my real name. I was still working in the government at the
Yeah.
time. So I was like, but then I said, you know what? Nah, I'm just going to jump out there like this. In fact, there's been times when because I had published it when I was still working in the government. Shoot, I had attorneys and stuff. They wanted copies. They were talking about it. But it was just a pen name. It was just a
Okay.
pen name. But I still have that, and it's amazing how far I went on that. It was
Hmm.
incredible. Cause seriously, at first I didn't take it. I was like, they don't need this. But then I found out, yeah,
Yes.
many do, or at least from the sales. And it was interesting though, because the men who bought it at first, they were players. I was like, what? I'm trying to help the nice guys out who bought it from me directly. I think a lot of nice guys bought it online and all of that, you know. But the men who bought it from me when I was book signings, book shows were mainly the players, the guys who didn't really
Okay.
need the book, you know. Because part of it is I did something interesting. It wasn't just for the nice guys. It was like, are you a nice guy who can't get the women, or are you a player you can't get the woman you really want? A lot of players, they picked
Oh
up
yeah.
on that part. That was the interesting thing. They would say, look, I can get every woman I want. I can get every woman except the
Yeah.
one I want. So they even got a story behind that. There was this guy, who was a Hispanic guy. He bought my book, and I never forget. I'm doing a book signing, and he came up with the entourage. It was like a spotlight was shining, music was playing. Dude was sharp, had a sharp haircut, nice shirt, slacks, Italian
Hmm.
joint shoes, and he was like, "This is who I am." He was pointing to the
Yeah.
player part. How much for this book? He said, "I can get everybody except
Yeah.
her." That's like, man. So it was deep. It was deep. It was an interesting
Okay. And for the
situation.
people watching, I have two cameras looking at me
Mm-hmm.
right now. No, this is for the viewers. I have two cameras looking at me right now, so I'm going to be focusing on the camera. So if it look weird, forgive me. I want to tell you the reason why I bought your book. I can't remember how I discovered you, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that it happened around the time when I started become writing for O'Shea. We both were writing for O'Shea, and then I guess your channel was suggested to me. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've considered myself a good dude,
Mm-hmm.
but a little bit about my background. I did play college ball, and I never really suffered when it came to attracting women. And that was my problem was that I
Okay.
couldn't get the type of woman I wanted. I'm more family oriented. I prefer to have something that's more long term.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have women coming after
Mm-hmm.
you and you're young, you entertain it. It's a difference between chasing it
Yeah.
and it coming to you. So yeah, I did pursue women from time to time, but for the most part, it wasn't too difficult for me. So when I saw your book, I was kind of like, all right, let me grab it, let me see what it was. And what surprised me more than anything was the emphasis on the body. You've preached the body
Oh
game a
yeah.
lot, but you hear growing up as a man, within the media or wherever, you hear that you need to stimulate a woman's mind. Like women are attracted to intelligence. So I can remember when I was just like in my early teens trying to improve those skills to get women. Not realizing that I already had the
Mm-hmm.
size, I already had the body for it, but I was trying to go about it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And there were cases where I actually turned a woman down because I wasn't in animal mode. I wasn't too aggressive. I was overthinking things and whatnot. Why do you think a lot of people put that out there that why do we sell sex in the movies? But when it comes to relationships,
Mm-hmm.
why don't we not focus on the sexual part and we focus more on the intellectual part?
Well, one of the things is that a significant amount of the population has some type of sexual repression. It can come from the religion or general mores saying, oh, sex is a bad thing, which is kind of messed up because they use sex to sell everything from toothpaste to outdoor grills. Anytime you look at a motorcycle magazine, it's about motorcycles or car engines or something, but you got a fine woman
Exactly.
on the cover, they using sex. And see, that's the thing. So you got a lot of sexual repression. You got a lot of people who trying to say no, they don't want to deal with it because like I said, the religious angle, people saying, "Oh, it's bad," and try to say no, it's other
Hmm.
things. It's not the physicality, but this physicality is the main thing. Sex is a primal
Yeah.
thing. That's the main thing. Women are attracted to the whole physical form. Men are attracted to the whole physical form. That's why you want to have it. Indeed, your body is so powerful that when you at your primal, when you at your primal body weight and form, size, and all of that, it will automatically attract people who are compatible, naturally compatible to you. See, on a deep level, we communicate. Communication, verbal communication is, uh, I'd say 8 to 10% of total communication. The other 90% is through body language and everything. Like you ever see a woman and you just felt something in your body? Like you
Yeah.
felt something. Like you saw, and like some people call it lust, but your body is actually affected by that. Women feel the same thing. And often I always say you could have two people having a conversation. They could be talking about politics. Their bodies are communicating like, oh no, we want to just go in this back room and stuff, forget all this political stuff.
Mm.
That's how deep it is. The body is deep. And that's the primary thing. That's a primal thing. We can't, some people try to say it doesn't matter, but yes, it does matter. If we're talking on a primal level, what happens? The seed meets the egg, creates a whole human being. That's primal. There's pleasure associated with that to keep the race going. That's
What I
primal.
get from what you said is basically that there's a spiritual component when it comes to attraction. In our world, yeah, in
Oh,
our
yeah, it
world, we
is.
kind of focus on the mental aspect of attraction and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's things that are happening behind the scenes that we can't actually see, but we can feel it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and the body is
yeah,
spiritual. Everything is connected. We think it's just material, but the body is moved by the spirit. So it's telling us something. Our subconscious. It's just like sometimes you might feel a certain way when you're around a person. That's your spirit communicating through your body. Oh, there's an issue with this
mhm,
person. Like pay attention. Like you get that gut feeling, or you get sick when you're around somebody, or you get around somebody else. You feel real good and fired up. It's a big thing. Like I would tell people, if you don't feel something physically, you don't feel a comfort in your body physically when you're around a person, leave them alone. Or if you feel something negative or
yeah,
something, that's how deep. I mean, that's taking it to a deeper level. Because a lot of people don't really, well, they know the other part, the aesthetics and all of that stuff. But you still got to feel some people. And the body is deeper than just the aesthetics and everything like that. It's the vehicle by which you move through the world. That's why health is important. In my book, Sexual Chemistry, I get into health. I talk about cleaning out your colon, keeping that clean. In fact, I'm due for another colon cleanse. I say once every 3 months or so, I'll just get some stuff, just some stuff and some reading material, and just be in the bathroom. And I have no
mhm,
problem with that. A lot of people have that. It's health. When we really attracted to somebody, we are at the uh, biggest level. We're attracted to their physical health. That's
yeah,
primal, and it is spiritual too. All of it's connected. Now, let me be clear on it. Even though I talk body game, you still got to talk to each other. You still got to communicate. Body game is the base, though, by which you build everything else off of. And if you're talking about just purely attracting women, okay, they like your body and everything. Okay, then you can talk to them and then see if it grows from there. And it's still even deeper levels. It'd be another show, but uh, it's you feel it, you grow from there.
okay.
Boom.
So before,
And so you
I'm
got
gonna
to have
switch it up
all
a
of
little
that.
bit because I don't want to keep we can keep talking about this. So before we get
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's
before we
way
get too
deeper.
caught up in it, I want to go back to your book. When you first started writing your book, you first decided
Hmm.
that you were going to put this book together. How long did it take you from beginning to end to actually complete the book?
Oh, it's pretty quick, man. I've had. I'm gonna tell you what. On a deeper level, I was taking notes since
Oh wow.
1983. I had a notebook. It said Rom's rules and stuff back in 1983 because I always had that writer
Okay.
in me. But and also back in the 80s, I was actually going to do a book on interracial relationships, and I was taking notes. I got a lot of notes for that. I probably got about seven other books I got notes for. I could probably put out.
Mm.
You know, so it's like but when it came down to many men asking for it, it was pretty quick. It was like, oh, boom, boom, boom. I'm thinking
How
maybe
many
a month or
revisions?
two, but it
How
wasn't a
many
long
revisions
time.
of the book? How
Huh?
many revisions?
Uh,
Really?
nothing
Oh
really.
wow. So you was on point from day one.
I say the only thing, in fact, everything that I had in the original Nice Guys Guide to Meeting and Attracting Women is in Nice Guys and Players. I just expanded. That's all I did. No revisions. Only thing I did take out one thing because I had stuff about signs of women showing her
Yeah.
interest, and I wrote in there that a woman playing with her hair shows her interest. But then I said, when I'm still working in the government, I had a co-worker read
Ah.
the book, read the thing. She always played with
Oh
her hair
wow.
around me. I say,
Uh,
oh, wait a minute, I can't let her know that. I can't let her know I'm reading her
yeah.
like that.
You know, I pay
And
more
she,
attention to those like little things ever since discovering you. You know, sometimes when you
oh,
getting women or not getting a woman, you just don't
mm-hmm.
know what's going on. It's just you're unconscious. But when you start when
Oh,
your eyes
man.
open up, you actually see things as they're happening. You know?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna tell you what. Let me give y'all some game.
Uh
Pay attention. Always pay attention to a woman's body language. A woman, you. That's why I can. When I'm out in public, I see a couple together. I take one look at them, and I have a general idea about their relationship. Not to say I'm 100% right, and I would never know
yeah.
unless I talk to them. But you can get a feeling. You ever see a couple together? They're all up on each other, holding hands, real close, looking at each other, and you like, man, they need a room. Then you see another couple. They supposedly a couple, but there's a distance between them. They don't hardly look at each other, everything, but they still
Yeah.
together. You know, and they might even have wedding rings on or something. You're like, yeah, he better double
Well,
back home one day.
how do you keep
you
that
know?
passion in a relationship? You know, this could be wrong. I
Um,
was on YouTube listening to
mm,
somebody else, but they were saying that eventually the love goes in the relationship. This is what they use. They say the love goes in a relationship, but the thing that needs to be maintained is the respect that you have for each other and basically the activities you have for each other. You have way more experience than I do, way more insight. How do you think a relationship do you think yeah, how is a relationship supposed to last basically?
um, I'm gonna tell you what. One of the biggest issues is the word
Okay.
love. People should use lust. I had a Facebook post one time. I said people should stop saying I love you. Just say I lust you. And some woman I hooked up with say, okay, Rom, I lust you. Because I said that's all it is. Real love isn't based on sex or being married or something. It's a connection. The love pretty much stayed there. It's like when women say, you know, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. They should just correct that to say in lust with you. And that's usually what it is. People think it's some lust, but it's really just lust. So the issue there is how do you keep the lust
Mm,
going? That's the trick. If you look at most couples, people think they break up over money, but it's rare well, I ain't gonna say it's rare, it's what they say. Most of the time it's sex. The lust is gone. They don't feel that feeling. They don't get that spark. In fact, women will say spark. If a woman tells her girlfriends she's divorcing that good man who pays the bills, keeps the car running, allows her not to work, and all she has to do is say the spark is gone, they'd be like, oh, and they won't bother her about
yeah.
it again. And that's all it is. So the issue is, can you keep the spark up? And let's be real, there can be other things involved. Compatibility. Y'all got different consciousness about money, different philosophy, but a primary thing is just that lust. Okay, how do you keep the lust going? Well, you need to stay in the same physical shape. Both sides do. A lot of couples let themselves get out of shape. It kills
Yeah.
the lust. It kills the drive. They need to switch up sometime. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes as a man, yeah, make love to her. You got the rose petals out, the candles. Sometimes though, you gotta pull that mattress into the living room, sit there butt naked waiting for your woman to get home. Soon as she walk through the door, rip her clothes off, throw on that mattress, tap that ass like you just got out
Yeah.
of prison. You just gotta switch it up. Because what happens is this. You just get tired of it. Sometimes a woman gotta be the man needs to be in chase mode. He getting it all the time, it gets boring. He's like, damn, this again. He ain't had to do anything. It becomes obligatory. You just gotta switch it up. Go on that vacation or something. Now, some couples, they have open relationships and something. I'm like, okay, if you want to, but that's why you have cuckolding, open relationship stuff like that, because the lust ain't there. They good with each other otherwise, so they just get other people. But if you saying I don't want to do all that, okay, y'all got to switch
Okay.
up. You might have to say, okay, we need to have this rough sex in the living room on the kitchen
Yeah.
floor, but then we need to go to this whole 5-star hotel, have the rose petals and all of that and stuff. You got to switch it up. And then y'all got to communicate and be honest with
Yeah.
each other. So, and it's tough. It really is tough because you get used to somebody. That's the one thing. You get used to it no matter how much and you love them, like really love them. But it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Trust
Okay,
me, it's hard.
so I'm glad you said that because I just had another guy on my show, AP, and he one thing that he said the problem is that you have players trying to be husbands, you have husbands trying to be players. People don't keep it real
Yeah,
and let people know who they really are, because some people are made for
I agree.
marriages. Some people are made for marriage. Some people aren't made
I
for
agree.
marriage. And basically what he was saying, and I'm using it. I'm using what he was saying with what you just stated. He was saying that, what was he saying? I'm lost for words. He was saying that basically he loves his wife. That's what he's saying. He loves his wife,
Yeah,
but every now and then he wants another piece of ass, and he doesn't think that's a bad thing.
that's
He
normal.
says, "Do you?" He's like, he gave this analogy. He says, say you have two people, two drug dealers that are in your operation.
Hmm.
One guy, he never dips his finger in the cocaine. He never tries it, but he's not good for nothing. Brings nothing to the table. You can't count on him to be on
Hmm.
time. He's never there, etc. But you got one guy, the other guy, he's dependable. He's bringing in revenue. He's always there on time. He does everything you need for your operation to grow and more. But every now and then
Hmm.
he dips his finger in the cocaine, and he says that's the way he sees in relationships. He's like, a man is considered a bad man because he wants a little taste of something new every now and then, and he doesn't agree that the way
Hmm.
we see relationships today is the right way. And I could tell he's suffering.
And he has something because you do have a growing amount of people who are getting involved in open
Okay.
relationships, polyamory, open relationships, things of that nature. Maybe having a threesome, things of that nature, because it is real
Yeah.
tough, and especially if you're a player, it's tough for a player to become a husband. It
Yeah.
really is. It is very tough because he's used to it, and plus, women make the plays. Some woman is always going to bring him a plate, throw it at him. He can have his ring on, it could be shining like a spotlight, and she'll go after him harder. And many men don't want to hear this, but women can have sex with multiple men, and they can be completely opposite of
Hmm.
each other. Women can have sex all day, they
Yeah.
really can. So it's tough. It's a challenge. It really is.
I'm
It's a
coming to
challenge,
realize.
and people need to be honest
Well, I know
about it.
my problem is this: that if I'm dealing with a woman and she pissed me off, just because of like my experience with women, I instantly think I can get somebody else. But I know that that's not the right way of thinking. And as you stated with women, some women, I'm becoming more aware that women don't have that goody two shoes type of image that I was taught to believe. A lot of women, when it
Oh
comes to
man.
sex, like they may carry themselves in an innocent way, but they have those same urges as well, and they'll act on them. They will act on them, and
Oh
then get the
man.
support from the community to act on them. I was lonely. Oh, something. So,
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, because I've talked about the sexual shadow world. That's basically where women they behave
okay.
freely. Women they want to get out here. They want to do their stuff. The best chance a man has of keeping her out of there, he got to switch it up on her. He better like work. He better hit the gym so he can move that mattress around easily. He better be spontaneous. He better be like, hey baby, I got something I got to show you in my car in the
Mhm.
garage. Take her in the back seat. He got to switch it up because they're gonna want that. Women, I mean, they'll love you, but they still looking at other guys. That's what's happening when you're talking about male exotic dancers and stuff like that. Those women be
I got
married.
something for you. This is a question that I've been pondering for like the last few months. Growing
Hmm.
up, when you grow up in a I want to say low income environment, when it comes to attraction,
Hmm.
you learn early that women are attracted to masculinity. You need to speak to them.
Hmm.
You need to have some level of
Hmm.
musculature to you, but you
Hmm.
have to carry
Yeah.
yourself like a man and be aggressive. At least that's how it was. You have to know how to fight,
Yeah.
have some level of being
Yeah.
known in that area. But when I got a scholarship to a Catholic school that was like ridiculously, like I went to school with Barry Bonds' kids, so I went to school with like politicians, all
Hmm.
that, those types of kids. And I remember those kids saying like, "Oh, it's all about the money. It's all about the money." Right? And I used to think they was full of shit. But now as an adult, we were dealing with two different class of women. in the middle, when you're dealing with a historically in the middle class, white women, they were dependent on men. So the men, white guys were the breadwinners within that class for generation and generations. But now I see a lot of white
Hmm.
women. They are in the workplace. They're taking on power positions. They have their own money, along with black women. So, and now I see that a lot of these guys that are complaining about women, they're complaining about those middle class women who don't need their money anymore, and those men don't know how to control those women. And I can see now that
Hmm.
we're moving because our society has changed the way it's changed. A lot of men are still living in their 50s, and a lot of women are choosing their partners differently than they used to choose their partners. So I'm wondering,
Exactly.
because women don't need men in that way, they can be more primal with their selection. Just like any other animal on the
Exactly.
planet, they can choose a man because of
Exactly.
his sexuality, his size, etc. And men
Exactly.
can, men still haven't got out of that space of like the provider role. Where do you see relationships? Say if things continue to advance this way, women don't need men financially. How do you think the selection process is going to be in relationships? Are some men just never going to breed, which happens in the animal kingdom? Some men just, if they're
Wow.
not strong enough, they don't have the look, they don't breed. How do you see that going?
Well, there's been a study that said just throughout history, only 40% of men have put their genes into the future. 40%. This was while men thought money was helping them and everything. And even then, even from back in the day, like if you go like in the South or some like more rural areas, when that woman had a baby, her relatives would come around and really look at that baby and look at the father. They'd be like, "Oh, okay, what does he have? What is he?" Seriously, that paternity fraud. If they had the testing for paternity fraud back in the day, a lot of men would find out they ain't the father. Because here's what women did, even back then. Oh, they'll get that guy with the money, but then they'll have that guy coming over the fence. They'll have a milkman or something, or that door-to-door salesman. There was a whole lot of that. The thing now, though, the women can be, they don't have to. So you come up trying to talk about how much money you got, that's only going to impress some poor woman. If you get some woman, some little ratchet, some tacky woman, some trailer park woman, oh yeah, they'll probably be real impressed with your money. And they'll still
Yeah,
cheat on you. But the thing now is you got to have more. You can still have money, and women will still deal with a guy. If a professional woman still wants a professional man, but that's more for image. And even then, she still wants somebody she has a physical attraction for. See, they can hold out now. I know of many professional women now, and they ain't hit no damn wall. They ain't. I know several. I know several. They haven't hit a wall, but they haven't found that one man they're sexually attracted to. They got degrees. They got their own homes, everything, and they still in shape. That's why a lot of them become cougars or milfs. They that sexual attraction thing has taken it to another
yeah,
level, and they going after it. That's why you know what, people call me a dating coach, but I'm saying I'm a sex coach. I'm telling you how to get these women. Because that's the thing. Even when people talk about game or something, women still got to look at you and think you're sexy because they have a choice. And that's really what a lot of men are really mad about. And some men still trying to fight, say, oh, it just take money, it just take money. I'm like I said on a video recently, man, I know like 4 young women, they haven't even reached the age of 30 yet, got their own houses and stuff.
yeah,
I don't live in a house. I'm like, wait
yeah,
a minute, you got a house? I mean, I've had a house before and stuff, but I've known several
yeah.
like that. In fact, I knew a woman, and this was back in the 90s. I ain't gonna give out too much information about her, but she was working for one of those .coms, was a millionaire. Man, her house was like the acres. It was like, it took about 25 minutes to walk around her
Oh
whole
wow.
house. And she just married some random dude who was just cool with her, but she was still checking for. Her biggest problem was she didn't have that level of attraction to get that like really top dude,
I see.
but she did settle
Uh
for
huh.
a dude and made him sign a
Yeah.
prenup because she had the money. Man, she had, dude, 25 minutes to walk her whole house, and I still don't think we saw everything. I was like, man, but that's the thing with the women now. They got their own money. You can't hit them with that. And you can have all the money in the world. In fact, I recommend men build themselves up as much as possible. But don't lead with your wallet because the women looking at the sex appeal now.
Hmm.
Unless you want to deal with some low class woman. And I hope you don't. but they looking at your physicality and everything. You know, your sex appeal, your attitude. They want to
Yeah.
holler. I mean, seriously, that's why women they will pay a gigolo. They will pay a gigolo, and technically they can't pay them for sex. They'll pay for the time, and then they'll have sex off the
Yeah.
clock. But that's what they want.
A lot of men, they need
That's
to
what they
lead
want.
with sex when they first meet a woman and not their wallet. If they,
Yeah, to keep the wallet
yeah,
in the pocket.
yeah. All right. So I wanted to say, okay, so your book, it focuses more on attraction and not game. The question I have for you, do you need both? Are both important, or does one
Um,
matter more than the other?
I would say this: attraction is game in itself. Attraction is game, but to be clear about what my book focuses on is focusing on developing a man to a state of being where he naturally interacts with women naturally likes him. See, one of the things I talk about, and I'm nicer about it because I do say now that, you know, more men need to approach women.
Yeah.
But let me
Okay.
qualify what I'm saying. When they're getting started, but they need to build themselves to the point where they can do what I always joke about, sitting in a corner eating your buffalo wings and the women coming over to you. You want to see the thing with women, they always choose. They are always checking out men. If you driving down the street and a woman look over, she checking you out. They always looking. They walk out the house in the morning. And in fact, in some cultures, the women can choose outright. Not in Western culture. So women play the game. They'll put themselves in a position for you to approach, but they already made that choice. They saw you. You see her when you just walk up on her. She saw you from 5 blocks away and slowed her pace down, or she clocked you for months and put herself in your path. You want to be that type of man. You want to develop yourself. Even if you approach a woman, she ain't seen you as a cold approach, is you do what I call a damn principle. In that few seconds when she see you, she's still making a
Yeah.
choice. So I don't see a lot of guys see game as trying to get the woman to like you. You can't. She either like you or you don't. Even pimps acknowledge that. They say deal with who likes you. If you look at the majority of players out here, they're not big on approaching. They just
Yeah.
be chilling. You ask them where they meet the woman. Oh, I met her on the job, or she kept on me, or she just happened to come up and say hi. We were in this grocery store. She was asking about some avocados or something, and then just kept talking.
Yeah.
You know. So my thing focuses on that angle. In fact, a couple of people read it said it was like a pimp book. Because one thing about pimps, people don't realize they don't really be forcing. I mean, in the movies they say they do, but most women will come to them one way or the
Yeah.
other.
They're not forcing women to go into the
So,
streets. They can leave whenever they wanted to leave.
oh no,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, most women, you got some women out there. They having sex with men for money anyway, or some favor from the
Yeah.
man. They don't have a pimp. The pimp is to be a companion, a manager for them and stuff. But I don't want to get into that aspect of it. But my thing was just developing yourself into what a woman is actually going to be attracted to. See, I say nice guys and players. They do like aspects of the nice guy, but they like the emotional stuff that he's there for them. He'll do the dishes. He'll be responsible. But they still want somebody to knock them out the
Mhm.
box. So if you both and you just have that part of your personality, yeah, you can be stable, keep the bills paid, be responsible, and make them holler in the bedroom. You won't be able to get rid of them, and they're always looking for that. So you present no matter what you do, no matter where you meet the woman. Most men don't meet women walking down the street anyway, or even on online dating. They might meet them on the job. They might meet them at the gym. Happen to run into them someplace where they can strike up a conversation and stuff. And it comes down those two things because on a deep level, women have dual sexual needs. They have that lust thing where they want somebody just to knock it out the box, have them screaming. They want to feel
Yeah.
intoxicated. But then they also have that need for a man who's going to be
Yeah.
stable, who can listen to them, who can like say, "Hey, baby, I got this. Let me go handle this business over here." And that's what my book is all about. Now, I use the term body game. I'll put game in there because people understand it, but it's more of a communication thing. I'll say, I'll have some videos. I'll say game, but if anybody look at and really look at what I'm doing. I'm just saying develop yourself, develop those two aspects of you, be able to satisfy a woman on those
Yeah.
two levels. That's it. You want to become a nice guy and a player. In fact, I remember I did this cable show, and I was getting in an argument with this woman, and that's because she hadn't heard what I said. So she said, I can't stand plays. I can't stand plays. At the end of the show, she said, I want a nice player. A nice
Yeah.
player. So that's the whole thing about it. So it doesn't get into the traditional, oh, call her 3 times. I'm not big on all of that. It's about get your body right, get your mind right. Develop your way of how you're going to deal with a woman sexually, and you'll be all right. She'll pick up on that with you.
You know, you mentioned like the women they help you or whatnot. I know that that's true. I've experienced it before, but I also saw it with. I see it a lot with younger women, and I see it with older women. I have a lot of older women
Hmm.
that go out of their way to talk to me. And when I played on the football team, we had like these camps we would run, and I remember it would be like a group of like five, no, a group of like 10, 8-year-old girls. They were just like I can tell they had like a crush on me, and they would tell me all their parents stuff and
Hmm.
whatnot. But something in our society drills that out of women. It makes women believe that
Um,
men are supposed to do everything and they're supposed to just sit there.
well, you know what? It's part of it is from non-select men being in a position and just overall culture trying to get love for them. So they trying to get a woman to go against her basic nature. Because if you leave it up to women, only a small percentage of men will have sex. In fact, they still will have sex with non-select men. They still, because they don't have any choice. There's not enough select men to go around. If they want a man, they'll still deal with him, but they'll have sex with him as infrequently as possible. They'll give him hell. He do the slightest thing. Like a select man, he can be 2 hours late for a date and she's still good. A non-select man, if he's 5 minutes, if he's a minute late, she's ready to kick him
Yeah.
to the curb. So that's the biggest thing. See, they still have to deal with them, and we still got some cultural stuff about women having that husband or everything. But then, what's not talked about out here is women's infidelity. If men, and that's how I learned a lot of the game, because I have no shame in saying it. I was that side piece, and I was like, oh wait a minute, this is messed up. Even to this day, I get a lot of attention from married women. It's kind of annoying, and I'm like, you got a ring. I don't feel like
Hmm.
bothering with you, you know, and be telling her I have another friend who's well, she has a roommate. I was telling her about another woman who said the same thing, and I was like, "You're both in the same position." Like, man, it's crazy because, and that's when you really see some stuff because women, just because of how things are now, they still want to keep up those appearances. But as you alluded to, as you mentioned, that's kind of going away. They just being open about it now. And like I said, I know several professional women got all this stuff, still fine, got bodies like they in their 20s and stuff. They rather just not get married or anything. They got all this stuff, find a guy to give them maintenance and stuff, and they just go
Yeah.
from there.
It's funny. I got a friend. Well, I had a guy on my podcast actually that's a really good looking dude. Really, the women, the
Hmm.
things they say to him on Instagram, he got his followers just like instantly. But the thing he had said that cracked me up, he was seeing a woman for about a year, just casual sex,
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
had said that the girl was on birth control, then she went off birth control and didn't tell him, and then she told him after she was about 4 or 5 months pregnant that she was pregnant. So women they
Yeah.
out there hunting for those genetics. They need to
Man,
get
I'm gonna
it.
tell you something with women, man. It's a jacked up thing. It's a jacked up thing. And I know you got some people in that black pill community think it's just a Chad or something, handsome man or something. And you know what? They do check for handsome men, but they never seem to point out these handsome men that they keep called Chad and Tyrone also look like they hit the
Yeah.
gym. It's the total package. In fact, a term, and I'm surprised the term ain't used as much. It's just plain hunk. If you look at male exotic dancers, you look at gigolos, you look in the movies. Women went to see Aquaman because Jason Momoa was, he was cut up. Shoot, they had shirtless scenes for Superman in the Justice League movie. I mean, women are naturally go for humps. Period. And yeah, they'll get with other guys because well, there ain't enough hunks to go around. But the closest you can come to, if you're a hump, you pretty much gonna get women. You're gonna get something. You still gonna have some trouble, but you ain't gonna have
You're
woman
gonna be
gonna
doing
throw.
better than that.
The closest you can come through it. Yeah, the closest you can come to it though, is the better. That's why I emphasize body game, and it hits them on a deep
Yeah.
level. It hits them. There's been studies that hits them on a deep primal level, and women more and more are going for that. Now, I've said publicly about average faced men, but let me clear that up because somebody, well, you said the average face. Nah, if you look at it though, when I say average, all men can be conventionally handsome. That's average now. You know, they can be that, but the thing with women, they still look at the physicality. You got those shoulders. You can pick them up. You can toss them around. You look like you can go hunt. Oh yeah, they'd rather have that. They'll bring the beauty to the table. So even there, it basically comes down to the most best physical thing you can do for yourself. The better you help yourself with women. They want it. They're not hiding that anymore. And even when they talk about they sapiosexuals or they want an intellectual guy, let's be real, they want that attached to a certain body. Now you do get some exceptions, but usually those women have trouble getting the guys at the top, so they get
That
what
they
they
want.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing: double back home one day, because the infidelity piece is big. It's real. It's scary
Yeah.
big. It's scary big. I've known of some women who cheated, and you look at them like, you cheating? And they be like, or they might have some young guy on their job that they give those extra tight hugs to or something. They'll do something. It don't have to be penetration, but the majority of women, unless they got something biologically off with them, they looking for some type of sexual contact, and they can get off. A woman can get off sexually just from a hug. She can have an orgasm. She can have an orgasm just being in the presence of a man. She can have an orgasm just seeing a certain type of man. I know some people say that's crazy. Understand this with women. They don't have to see. For us to get ours, we need to penetrate. For them to get theirs, they just need that good attention. That's why you get some women who will dress up. They call it vamps. They get all that attention. Oh, they feeling something. Trust me, they feeling something, and they need it. They need it. Like you get some women, they'll marry some guy and they'll still be loyal to him, but they just happen to go to the club a lot and slow dance with a lot of
Oh
different
wow.
men. They'll find a way, man.
Wow.
They will find a way.
You use the term select and non-select over alpha and beta, and I have a short little story, and I personally like that you use those terms over alpha and beta because it's become. I think some people are delusional. Because I had a guy come up to
Hmm.
me that was fat. He was fat. He was broke, and he wasn't the smartest person. But he told me, he's like, man, alpha males like us. We don't have to worry about et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just thinking to myself, alpha males like us. You think you on my level? That's what I was thinking. So I mean, let me know why you don't like the term alpha and beta, and why you prefer select and non-select.
Well, alpha to me, every single man is an alpha if he has a family, he owns his house, he's in charge of his
Okay.
household. If he's in charge, he's the alpha of that household. How alpha and beta was more of a family thing. Select and non-select is really just about who the women want to have sex with. There's a lot of guys who are running companies. There's a lot of guys like okay, there are guys out men who run whole companies, yet they will pay a dominatrix to whip their ass. How's that alpha? You get guys who got businesses, they got seven figures, but they paying a sugar baby. How's that alpha? He shouldn't have to pay if he's an alpha if that's a sexual thing, you know? Because they confusing the social thing with the sexual thing. And even then, they say this guy's an alpha. How many guys really sit back and follow him? It's like, oh, we're going to follow your leadership. Shit. We're not a pack of wolves. We're human
Yeah.
beings. Now, select and non-select, it's all about the sex. It's about who they want to have sex, who they select for sex, relationships, dating, and who they don't. And see, the guy you do have some select men who running stuff, got powerful position, but then you got some don't got to pop the piss in. Ain't the brightest person? Don't They shoot. They might get some older woman who grab them up and say, "Okay, you my boy
Yeah.
toy." How's that alpha? It's like, no, it's just a sex thing. So that's actually more accurate if you're talking about sex. And then when you talk about their behavior, first of all, if you think about it, we can't even decide who's alpha in that. You get like 20 people who talk about being alpha, and they all gonna have different definitions. Some will even talk about just being a sexual alpha. I'm like, well,
I
okay.
think I think a lot of guys that emphasize on alpha and beta, most guys, not all guys, 'cause I know some pretty top-notch dudes that use the word as well, but I think a lot of those guys are guys that really have little experience when it comes to dealing with women. Reason I say that is
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I'm a pretty good-looking guy, pretty athletic, pretty built,
Mm-hmm.
but I was never the top dude. The top guy when I was growing up was
Mm-hmm.
actually short. He was like 5'6", but he was jacked, and he was a man. Like people
Mm-hmm.
knew, like don't mess with him. You know what I'm saying? He was a man
Mm-hmm.
amongst boys. And then I remember just even in college, man, there was always another stud. So I understood that
Mm-hmm.
there was more to the game. There was areas that you needed to like. There was areas that you need to improve on to actually attract the type of woman you wanted. And then also sometimes you have to take your losses and just deal with the women that are dealing with you. But I feel like a lot of men they have no women. Like I've known people who are virgins in college and found out later. It's not like they couldn't have sex, but they were so terrified of women and sex, and
Mm-hmm.
they were out of it, man. It was just
Yeah, that's some real talk, man. That is some real talk. You have many men who are sexually repressed for whatever reason, and this don't have nothing to do with what they look. You do got some guys, man. They'll blow. They even when I was in my top shape, they'd blow me away as far as like jacked and body game. They got money, all that stuff. They can have looks, money, and status, and they still got
yeah.
issues. They still got issues sexually
Uh,
because of sexual repression, maybe how they were grown up, maybe they were told it was a wrong thing. So that's why I say it's totally different. It's not necessarily the same
mm,
thing. But, I mean, like I said, you do have some select men who are professionals. You got plenty of them, or making seven figures and all of that. But then you got some other ones, you know, they haven't had. I've known some men now. I'm cool with them, but they haven't had their own place in years. They is always one woman or another. I've known some men. They just go between their different women to
mm.
sleep. They don't have their own home. They'll stay with one a few days, go see the other one. If one get mad, don't matter because he still got another
My
one.
father was
It's
like
like,
that. My father was like that. My pops would call himself
okay.
the pretty boy thug. He always had.
Mm,
He was out doing his thing, but I knew there were always women. Mind you, my parents they weren't together. It was always women that would pick me up, take me shopping, give me anything that I needed when I needed it. Just because my pops had it like that. Even when he was locked up, he had women, taking care of
I'm
the
gonna tell you what.
operation.
You know what? And that's an interesting part that I really don't get into
uh,
publicly because that's a prevalent thing. Nobody wants to talk about that. You got guys who are running women like that. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather. Every time I go over his house, there was a different woman. It got to the point. I just said, "Ma'am." I just said, "Ma'am, ma'am, ma'am." Be young girls,
yeah,
whatever. And then I wasn't close with my father's side, but I found out he had like 10 kids outside of his
yeah,
marriage and stuff. And I mean, and he had a ton of women. My father's like that and everything. Ton of
yeah,
women. Hanging out with my father one like a decade or so ago, he in his 60s, he had young girls going crazy
mm,
over, him, like going
yeah.
crazy. And see, that's a level
It's
a lot of guys
charisma.
don't
Charisma.
understand.
It's charisma.
Charisma is in there. They just know they just hitting on those
Yeah,
levels. If they could only use their power for good, I mean, and that's I'm gonna tell you what. It's actually a different level. That's really a different level from what I even talk about normally.
mm,
Because that's something you either got it or you
yeah,
don't. I mean, that's just a reality. The most you can do is maybe if it's buried in you being brought out, but that's just a different level. Guys like that, they could you could lock them up somewhere. You can lock them up somewhere. If they got a female like off corrections officer, oh, they're gonna hook up at some point. It's like the women gonna hand it to them. It's just a reality. They're just born with it. You can't do anything about it. I try to get guys to at least that level where they can still get decent women, even a lot of women and stuff. But there's just some guys they just gonna be on something else, and there's a book I talked about. It's called Swoon, and it's a university professor. She's actually looked at it. She actually wrote one about women too. You just got some people, they just gonna get mates like that. And believe it or not, it's not always about how they look either. But it's just they just in existence. But see, they're such a tiny part of the population. I don't talk about them normally. I've had some people ask about it because I've mentioned it before, but I say, man, don't even try to emulate them. You
Yeah.
can't. There's so much stuff to it. The best you can do is hit the body game, work on your mind, work on your sovereignty, work on your stability and stuff, and present that to a woman. And most women are still they still gonna go for guys who can make it to that
It's
level. They can still go for
it's
it, but
something about their
like
energy.
that second level,
It's
rather.
something about their
Yeah, it's
energy because they
that's
don't
what it
even
is. You
lie.
can't
They don't even
duplicate
lie.
them.
I remember my pops telling me, he's like, man, you just got to keep it real. He's like, you got to tell them straight up.
That's
He's like,
how
everyone I dealt with, I told them what it was, and they went along with it. So,
that man. That's another level, man. And I'm serious, man. I can't. I don't even bother to teach that. I've had people say, "Well, can you teach me to get there?" You either got it or you don't.
yeah,
Cause okay, like with my father, because we ain't grow up together. I ain't raising.
yeah,
So we finally met as adults and stuff. He wasn't trying. He had young girls throwing it at him. Young girls. He wasn't even trying. Young girls, older girls. He wasn't even trying. He was trying to sit back and
yeah,
chill. He'd be like real quiet. They would be like all on him, smiling and everything, and he'd just be like, mm-hmm. And he wasn't even trying to look fly
yeah,
either. He wasn't even trying to look fly, anything like that. He wasn't trying to look younger. He was dressing his age and everything. You couldn't get rid of him.
yeah.
And you just got some guys like
It's
that.
like this, when you step into a room and it's like you got a Debo figure in the room, and you can feel his presence. It's the same thing when it comes
Yeah,
to men like your pops. The women can feel the presence,
yeah.
the energy that they bring in. It's just something that you can't be taught.
And you got guys like that. And you got guys like it. And I haven't figured as far if somebody can figure out a way to get somebody there, hey, let me know.
Yeah.
Best I try to do with guys is say, okay, I get you to that level where you know what, if you would approach a woman or attractive enough for her to start laying out her breadcrumbs, you'll be able to do well as long as you apply what I
Yeah.
say. But to that next level, just looking at Merm and keep going. They just on another level. Cousin Tito might call them ASPs and stuff, whatever the case. And they only
It's
1% of the
too many
population,
acronyms. What
so
is the
don't even worry
ASP
about it.
all about?
Oh, Alpha
Alpha
Showpiece.
Showpiece. Okay.
Yeah, I got that from Cousin Tito, and he had talked about the Alpha Showpiece, and that's because that's the field
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
in a male exotic dancing world. So, but those are hunks though. The reason they make their money is they just got they got a combination of their physicality, but also that seduction piece. See, that's the thing that's
Seduction.
needed, not just the body game, but you still need to have, and people might call it game, but you still need to communicate. Excuse me, you still need to communicate with women too. That's the charisma
Mm.
piece. Because it's like, okay, you go if like say a man meets a woman, she real fine, she got all of this, but you go on a date and it's just some dumb shit. I mean, I've been out with some extremely attractive women. At least one woman that was featured in a magazine for her beauty. I was bored as hell on the
Mm.
date. I remember another woman I met, extremely attractive. And I remember when I was married, I was doing a vending event. That extremely attractive woman was there. My wife looked at me and said, "You didn't hit that?" She asked me that. I was like, nah, she was just. So you guys still had that charisma piece, no matter what you look like.
Some of those I think honestly some of those like really attractive women, I've dealt with them just a
Mm-hmm.
few times. They weren't that good in bed. And a lot of them was like
Nah, they don't
into
have to
some
be.
porno shit, like some shit that was like that you wouldn't even think to do. You're like, what would you? And I think it's because the beautiful woman has the same thing that nerdy dude do. The beautiful woman gets so much attention. Or maybe they don't even get the guys that come after them, but they still have that sexual urge. So a lot of times they get they release somewhere else, and it's similar to what these nice guys do. They get it on from porn or whatnot. Those types of
Yeah. Well, with beautiful women, thing is they don't have to do anything. Guys give them the play, give them the attention. That's all the woman had to do is just lay there. Really, she don't have to. She don't have to work.
hmm
She gonna get played no matter what.
they
Cause
gonna
I'm gonna
stick
tell you
around.
what, and this is some cold blooded thing. The best women to get with sexually in the 5 to 7 range because they know they gotta work.
Uh,
They gotta do extra. They can't be acting funky. They want to keep that man. They gotta throw
yeah,
it. Seriously, if you talk about just the pure best sex, oh no, they're gonna be the clink clink because they know they have to.
yeah.
A beautiful woman ultimately knows on a deep level another guy gonna come forward, another guy gonna trick on her, you know. And sometimes you don't even have to have sex with them. There's a lot of these guys they walk around with these very gorgeous women, and somebody might think they're getting it and they're not. They just want to be seen with the women.
hmm
So if you're talking about just pure, if you want to look good in public, oh yeah, definitely get the dimes. But if you want that really great sex, pay attention to those women who got to fix up or something.
Honestly, honestly, I'm at the age where I have a lot of things going for me right now. It's like the last few years, everything has been going up and accelerating up for me now.
Hmm.
And I've been more mindful of the type of woman I deal with. And honestly, I just need a woman that cooperates with me. Somebody that cooperates with me
That's
and that
smart.
respects me. I don't need the best looking one, but I do need somebody that takes care of themselves. I take care of myself. I think,
That's the best ones, though.
huh?
That's the best ones. That's the most realistic, and that's
Yeah.
smart. Now, if you can get a gorgeous one, hey, that's great. That gives you everything. But a lot of guys too caught up in getting that fantasy figure, that icon. And first of all, they very rare
Yeah.
anyway. Women be if man, women got makeup. They can put makeup down to the point you think is their real skin and stuff. You be like, oh, she's smooth and stuff. They get it off. You like, damn. They ain't ugly, but they don't look the
Yeah.
same. And like you got very few, like Holly Berry, Cindy Crawford, um, yeah, women along those lines. They can take off the makeup and still look good. But a lot of other women, even some superstars, you see them without the makeup, you were like, what?
Yeah.
So
Your book, Nice Guys and
that's one
Players.
of the
What's
things
the ultimate goal of your book? Like, what are you really teaching men? You have the nice guy,
to
you
become
have the
real,
player, you have the
become the
gamesman,
best
and
of
you
them.
have the masked man.
Well, it's those are all archetypes that's developed because you got Mr. Goodbar. Okay, that's the closest to that next level. That's the closest, and they just had to work on a little bit of stuff, maybe, but they got that sex appeal. They got that raw sex appeal. The masked man, they got some sex appeal, but they also are good socially to go out in public with everything. They got money and status and all of that. And nowadays, with women having their own money, now the masked man, they got to have more money. So if the woman's 6 figures, he need to be high 6 figures, seven
Yeah.
figures, and stuff. But they not, and it's not necessarily they going for the money, but it's more or less the image. If like they're a minister or politician or something, what's the image that the man is presenting? And it's a socially acceptable image. And then the gamesmen, those are like the persistent guys. They get sex, but they gotta work hard. They gotta lie. They gotta target like some very easy girls, something like that. And the nice guys are just totally clueless. But the ultimate thing, none of those are good for a man. See, I talk about being a real man in my book. That's going even beyond select and non-select. The real man is being your most authentic self. And see, every man got that sex drive in him. Every man got that stable side in him. Every man got a nice guy in him. Every man got a play in him. He want to bring the best of both sides out and be that real man who's being authentic, true to himself, true to what he wants to do. You want to rise to that level. And every man should be working towards that. That's the ultimate goal of it. Because the society we have now, we need men to stand up. That's why I say, yeah, I bait you with the relationship stuff, and you definitely get some good information. But I love it. I love it when men tell me they got a business started, or they going back to school. They doing some great things with their lives. That's what I love to hear. And if you anybody who go through my stuff, they say, wait a minute, I'm taking you to that point. Because what happens is this: once a man gets really good at getting women, and he's been through enough of them, he realized, there's more to life than this. Because a lot of men don't get to where they're going because they still focus on the women, even if they making money. Because it's just our nature. We want
Yeah.
women. And there's nothing wrong with that. But once a man gets good to that point, you say, you know what? Let me just start working on this book I've been thinking about. Let me do this other stuff. And plus, you get a supportive woman, and you really, and especially a supportive woman who's got her sexual energy up, you can go to another level.
Why do they say a strong man has a strong woman by his side? Like, what does that really mean? Because I mean, a lot of women today, I feel like
Such.
they believe a strong woman is like that power couple, that Beyonce going to school, getting that degree, getting a great
Mm.
job, having all these materialistic stuff. But what is really a strong woman, and how does she aid a man, the type of man that you're talking
A
about?
strong woman is complementary to a strong man. So it's not about her being independent. She needs to be working with that man. See, a strong woman, shoot, she can energize that man to go to another level, particularly through sex. Because, see, one of the things, and I don't talk about it in the books, but one thing I'm big on is sex transmutation. Taking that sexual energy, if a woman opens up that man sexually, got his sexual energy full, then he can take that same energy and do some of the things he wants to do in life. Because the same drive he can get that fine woman or that woman who's sexy to him, the same drive he can make that business work. He feels good about himself. Like a woman can look at a man and tell he getting some good, because he gonna behave a certain way, he gonna act a certain way, you
Mm.
know and he's going to have the drive and energy, because think about when you get some really good sex. Shoot, you want to go out. You ain't just sleeping on anything. You want to go out and just kick some ass. You ever had that good, so good? You're like, damn, I'm fired up. Let me work on a book real
Yeah.
quick. Let me work on this
You
project.
energize,
You feeling
you
good.
energize. It's a spiritual
You,
thing. It's like she hits
that's
you on a deep
yeah.
level. That's what that's about.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that's the ultimate level. That's the ultimate level. Because unfortunately, you got some guys. They'll have a good woman, but she's not good for them sexually.
Mm.
She's not good for him sexually, so that's a problem. But that takes us really on another conversation. Let's just, like you said, the purpose of Nice Guys and Players is for a man to rise to his best version of himself. Not just be, because I like it. You got some content creators that be trying to make it select versus non-select. I was like, no, it's supposed to be non-select. Work on himself to become select, and then even go beyond that. That's the thing. It ain't versus. I can't stand when men try to be stuck there. Oh, these women don't
A
want
lot.
me. Well, you want a woman, right? Okay, what you gonna
Your
do
book was
together?
being reviewed by mediocre tutorials. It wasn't him, but he had
Mm-hmm.
somebody on, and I could tell the guy he wasn't fit. He was a nice guy, and for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, it's not just him specifically, but men like him, like the nice guy, or like the guys that come to the internet specifically for women. It's like they're not open to any new way of thinking. It's like it becomes a
Mm.
I don't know what they call it, but it's like they even though the same dating coaches or the same type of relationship guys, they'll get interviewed and all they do is regurgitate the same thing over and over again. And these nice guys or these guys, these incels, they're listening. If it's any kind of advice like yours, they're just automatically dismissing it. You know, what I'm trying to say. Why do you think, like you've been doing this for a while, why is it that those guys that need it the most reject the information that you actually put out there?
Well, one, they haven't lived the life. If they could live one day in a sexual shadow world, if they can experience a woman, showing up to their house just one time with nothing on but a coat on and some high heels, if they can have women actively try to seduce them, they would know. They would know. So they don't believe it because they haven't experienced it, and two, they don't want to even try it. I've told men, just hit the gym for 6 months, just 6 months, see what it does. If nothing else, you're gonna feel better about yourself. If nothing else, but women are still gonna look. I constantly get testimony from men every single day. They say, "Hey, Rom, Uncle Rom, Uncle Rom, you know, OG." Man, this woman, man, she's filling me up. Well, I got this woman and everything. That's all I say. But they don't want to do the work because it's not an overnight thing. Just try it. If they can be introduced to it, the feeling and everything is powerful. Look at me. I'm a 57-year-old man, but I got women in their young women in their 20s who will introduce themselves to me.
Mm.
You know, I just finished walking with a lady friend. It's it's you don't have to do much, and it's so powerful. It makes you feel a certain way, you know. And the thing is, it's like, what am I doing? Well, one, I'm comfortable with my sexual side. I let my energy flow. And no, I'm not in the same physical shape I was in when I was in my 20s. But shit, I'm blowing away most guys my age. So it's like, and then I'm walking confident. It works. See, the guys see what the guys want. They want the women to change up their nature. They're not going to change up their nature.
Mm-hmm.
Only way to change up their nature, we need some major genetic
Yeah.
mutations. They always want a certain type of man. That's not going to change. It would take 100,000 years for a genetic change of that level. It's easy, and it's easy for a guy to work on his body, work on his posture, work on his confidence, build himself up, believe in himself. It's actually easy.
I want
And the women, because the women out here so thirsty because it's not enough of the men they actually want to go around. So, shoot, you have a buyer's market for women if you just fix yourself up. Just do it. That's why I say, you get guys who say, well, I don't think that'll work or anything. I say, did you try it? That's all I ask. I say, if you don't feel what I'm doing, you don't agree, please tell me that you tried it at least. Please tell me.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect it. Honestly, I don't expect it to work for everybody. It don't need to. If it don't, it don't. Because everybody's going to have a bunch of stuff that they might have going on with them that I can't address. They might need professional mental health professional to address or something. But at least try it. Because, look, let's be real. And this is some serious stuff. Because every time I think about it, man, I'm tired of this, man. How many times can I say body game? I see some story about some man who's suffering because he's just lonely. I've met men who's just, I remember the guy, and, he wasn't in bad shape, but he just had a weird vibe to him, just period, even to other men. And he said, he just would like a woman that he could take out, spend some money on and all of that. There's tons of men. There's a whole lot of, I saw somebody shared a comment made by somebody on social media talking about all the men out here who are suffering in silence. And I'm trying to help them. I'm saying, look, this works. After I get off this interview, I can text somebody and go do what I want to do. And with a young lady in her 30s. And this is coming from a 57-year-old man. I'm trying to help. And they need to ask themselves now, if they doing something and it's working for them and they getting what they want out of women, okay, by all means keep it. But if it ain't working, listen, try to find who's it working for. When I meet brothers brothers like yourself, who hit in the gym, working on their physicality, the only complaints I hear is how to manage multiple women. That's the only complaints I hear from them. They'll pay for consultations with me, and they ain't even saying problems with women. They like, Uncle Ron, man, I got this older married woman on my job going for me. Uncle Ron, this married woman trying to buy me stuff. Uncle Ron, this young girl is camping out in front of my house right now. Uncle Ron, what's up?
I know what you're saying.
But they just got to do
It's a
it.
trip. I had to honestly dealing with a lot of women like that. It can get exhausting. I learned that you
No,
can't
it
have
does.
sex with all of them. That's what I learned because then they will
No, you
tear
can't.
you apart. You
Yeah.
won't have time to do you won't have time to do anything else that you really need to do.
That's a real talk, man. That's some real talk. People don't realize
Yeah,
it. Many men want to get there, but if you can get there, you realize, you know what? I need to cut back. I've had consultations with many a player like that, and I say, man, you just cut back, keep one or two good ones, keep you maintained, but work on your other stuff. And he did just that.
exactly.
But a man needs to get to that level, and that's all I'm doing. I'm telling you. I told people, if you doubting what I'm saying, put me under a lie detector test.
I've kind of
I mean,
go ahead. My bad.
go ahead. No, I was just going to say, people ask about receipts and stuff. I'm like, well, shoot. One time I did a video with a young girl that was my girlfriend, and they still had problems. I'm like, well, damn, she in a car seat. What else I gotta do? Like, that's how much they fight it. So I say, you know what? Just try it yourself. That's why I tell people, no matter what I say, go apply the information. That's all I say. Just apply it. And if you applied it, you can show you applied it. Then we'll deal with that. If it didn't work, then we'll deal with that. But just go apply it first. That's
I've
all I
told you
ask.
naturally I'm more of a family man type of guy, and I'm also more of an
Mm-hmm.
intellectual. And I bit myself in the
Mm-hmm.
foot a few times. Like I've had women tell me like, "Hey," they were telling me indirectly that I was dealing with like, "Hey, I don't mind sharing a man. I just have to be number one." I've had women tell me that, and then I've had women like your game. A lot of men they're not aware of how powerful presentation is. I've always had a nice body, but I never used it. I used
Mm-hmm.
to wear clothes that were way too baggy. And then what I
Mm-hmm.
started doing when I went to the gym, I started wearing like compression, from like football, my
Mm-hmm.
Nike compression. And then instantly
Mm-hmm.
you'll see women just be like, like I can see them. I can see them. I'm like, whoa, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know she look like that. Like when she's checking somebody out, I didn't realize how aggressive
Mm-hmm.
they could be. Because some of these women are the proper type. You would look at them and think like, oh, they're wholesome, but they
Mm-hmm.
all gravitate to that level of
Let me tell you what.
sexuality.
Well, let me break that down. Their vaginas are twitching. Once they get that blood flowing down there, they can lose their mind. They lose their composure. They're not used to it. So they around a man that's turning them on physically like that. Oh, they come out of character.
Yeah,
They'll even say it. They'll be like, I don't usually do this, but And it be from the woman you think, wait a minute, aren't you a minister?
yeah,
Aren't you a doctor? Aren't you an attorney? You
yeah.
know, aren't you a grandmother?
Mhm. I've,
Oh
I've
man, you be
I
seeing some
had a
stuff.
woman that was with the dude. He was muscular as well. He just wasn't as like defined as I was. But when she saw me, she was like talking to the guy, and then she kept like looking at me. I could see her like talking to the dude, but she couldn't keep her eyes away from me. And then the dude started checking me out. That's what happened. The dude was checking me
Uh,
out for the rest of my workout. But yeah, man. I just was testing. My point is that I was testing what you were saying because I wanted to see if it really
mm,
worked. Because
I
I
appreciate that.
got I guess I got
I
manipulated over
appreciate that,
time to
man.
believing that it was something else that we're more attracted to. But it makes sense.
Uh, you got a lot of lies out there. See, I'm gonna tell you what. Here's the thing with women. You know I don't go in on women, but I got to call them out on this. They will let men think exactly what they want. Why would they do that? Oh, they need somebody to help them move their furniture. They need somebody to take them to Ruth Chris. They need somebody to give them some presents or something. They benefiting from these guys who are clueless.
Uh,
They can get money out of them. They can get a promotion out of them. Everything, and they'll just let the guys do it. You got some women. I knew of a woman. She was in a luxury apartment, and she wasn't a sugar baby either. But and she didn't pay for anything in that apartment. She didn't pay for a single thing, and she had rarely had sex with the guys either. You had guys who were trying to win her over. They'd buy her stuff, give her money to get something, everything. I've known a few women like that. Then they run that
mm,
game. And see, that's the problem with guys taking out their wallet. A woman will divest them of the money
yeah.
with just the carrot of sex. They don't even have to have sex. In fact, I knew this woman. She had this guy always. She said she was unemployed for a year and a half and didn't have to go on welfare because this guy was paying for everything. And I looked at her. I said, man, you should just break him off something. Break that man off something, just to be right. She said, Rom, if I did that, he ain't gonna pay for anything anymore. And I watched him give her money. I was like, some women be running that
Yeah.
game. That's why I'd say keep your wallet in your pocket, because you'll find out right away how the woman sees you. If she still want to deal with you, okay, she generally like you. If she's like, oh, you didn't take me to dinner, I feel offended or something, it's like, oh, okay, that's how you see me. All right, okay, I respect that. I ain't spending no money, but I respect it.
Yeah. The book Sexual Chemistry, you mentioned the inner masculine. How long do I have you, Rom? Because I have a list of questions.
As,
I'll make sure that I ask the
as
right
long as you
ones.
need me, as long as you need me.
Okay, so
Ain't like I got a job.
lovely. Inner masculine. What is the inner masculine? What do you mean by that?
That the inner masculine is the masculinity that all men have. If you born and you have a penis, you have even just a little bit of testosterone, you got masculinity in you. But what happens is we're in a society that does is utmost best to suppress that masculinity. Men don't go out and hunt anymore. Most men will not fight straight up another man. Sometimes you can get a man who can still be a man on the football field. They can let that energy out, but how often is that on everyday life? You get men who are working in offices, stuff like that. They following along. It suppresses their masculinity and stuff. You
Yeah.
know, it suppresses it, but it's still there anyway. Every man has it. In my book, Nice Guys and Players, I strongly recommend every man develop some type of business, even if he don't really need it. He could be making 6 figures, 7 figures, develop something that he has total control over. Like if he's in a career, okay, I respect that and everything, but develop something he's in total control. That helps develop his inner masculine and stuff. Like women, they do have an attraction for hustlers because the male hustler has to have his masculinity out to make money. He got to hunt for that money, and that will do something to the woman. Like I said, the body is the base, but he still has to have a certain level of charisma. He still has to have that masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So men have to unleash that masculinity. It's still there. I don't care what it is. Even your testosterone. You're talking about guys with low testosterone. Hey, you work out, you can increase it. You eat certain foods, you can increase it. That's easily increased. But so many men think it's just biological. It's like, no, you got so many men, all they do is play computer games. All they do is sit in the house. They don't go out. They don't exercise. Another thing with body game, it helps increase your testosterone just by doing leg exercises. It increases. Your body has to respond to the stress that you're putting on. At my age, one of the reasons men my age need to do resistance training because it keeps the testosterone up. Because you straining your body saying, oh, okay, we got to give him more energy. So that's the inner masculine. It's there. Every single man, if you're a man, you have a penis, you got it in you. It's just a question, are you working to bring it out? So that's the inner masculine.
Something I noticed in myself, I want to say around my early 20s, when I went into a different class, specifically in college,
Mm-hmm.
being hard came naturally to me. I had to learn how to chill out because of just the environment I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in. You had to be hard. And
Yeah.
I did notice that when I softened up, it also impacted my relationships. Where I'm at right now
Mm-hmm.
today, I've learned that just how society lies about relationships, society also lies about the way that you have to carry yourself. What I've learned, you really
Yeah.
don't have to do that.
Mm-mm.
Even in your everyday life, you dealing with people, you can still carry yourself like a man and speak like a man,
Yeah,
be
you do.
aggressive, be assertive, because people respond to
Mm-hmm.
that. I think a lot of people can
Yeah.
tell when you're wearing that mask because they're wearing that mask. So when they speak to you,
Yeah.
they trying to see, okay, are you going to play the same role that I'm going to play? And if you play that role,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
when you can be taken advantage of because you're expecting that
Yeah.
person to act a certain way. Have you ever had to go
Yeah.
from have you ever lost your masculinity and found your masculinity? Refound it?
I wouldn't say I never lost it totally because
Yeah.
even when I was on jobs and stuff, or I used to go to human resources for bucking a manager or something. I've been in human
I had
resources
to quit my job.
several
I had
times.
to quit my job because
Yeah,
of that.
and yeah. So I never suppressed it
Yeah.
totally, but you did have to tone it down, and I could tell in the difference in how I was responding. Otherwise, even how I was speaking,
Uh,
because I was on one job and I was stuttering when I was speaking. I was like, okay,
you
something
think
wrong.
exact
Okay,
okay, that's what it was.
and it suppressed. It wasn't totally suppressed though, because in the outside world, I was living in the area as an adult where I had to have some thug
Yeah.
in me. I had to have some thug because the neighborhood it was on that
Yeah,
edge.
because
I put it
people
like
try
that. It
you. I
had
already
some
got it. People
thuggish.
try you.
Yeah, yeah. So that didn't help. But then when I'm on the job or something, which is why I can't work for anybody. I was like, I had to suppress it to keep things going. The money, you got to suppress it. But even then, sometimes it would come out hard. I would get in screaming matches with a manager. I couldn't hold it
I had the
back.
same thing. Same thing happened to me.
Yeah, And I have no problem. I have no problem saying that. That's why I cannot work for anybody. Even now on my page, when somebody try to tell me to do some type of video or something, I'll be like, no. I might even delete the comment because I'm like, I got to a point I can't have anybody telling me anything because that is a fucked up. It's fucked up. Like I said, on my last full time job, one of the things that hastened my leaving the job, I was about to go to the job of a manager. I was about to go straight. The police might have been called and everything.
Yeah.
If I run into the person, he knew it because he walked away because he said, "You about to hit me." I was like, "Damn!" He picked up on because he was saying some bullshit. He had to apologize, but he was saying something, and I was just slowly cocking my head to the side. If I do that, that's when I'm like, "Oh wait," and I was giving him a look like, "Nah, fuck this shit."
You're looking for the right angle, right angle of his jaw.
Yeah, I was just looking at him because it was it was bullshit anyway. He had to apologize to me the next day. He had to
Yeah.
apologize, but I said this was unnecessary. And they had coworkers trying me and everything because they thought they could,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Like I said, I've been in human resources more for confrontations with managers
Yeah.
at different levels because I
It's
was
because
like,
you're a
this
man.
isn't
It's
me.
because you're a man and they
Yeah,
can feel you and they feel intimidated. So because they have a level of
exactly.
authority over you, they want to
Oh man,
control you. That's really what it is. You know?
I've seen, yeah, I've seen like little dorky ass dudes be in a management position on a job and they trying to boss some people around. I was like, man, you better stop all that.
Yeah.
Seriously. Seriously, I've seen that happen. You do get some little nice guy, nerdy ass,
Yeah.
dorky ass lame who's in a position. No, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just say it like that.
That
And
is what it is.
especially if you kind of big. And look, let's bring the racial thing. If you're a black man on some of these things, you know they want to bring it. I don't care. Hey, look, I don't care if I offend anybody, but let's be real
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it. If you're an intelligent black
Yeah.
man who going to stand up, oh, you know they'll get a feeling trying to break you down or something,
Yeah.
or they'll look for something, and it's just like because they intimidated,
Yeah.
and you let them know that's the worst. That's the American nightmare. A serious black man ain't putting up with that shit. Seriously,
Okay.
and that's it. That's where they try to hit it, and really they try to hit all men
All
on
right,
that level, all men regardless of
before I get
race.
lost, regarding the masculinity,
Hmm.
you said like you can't handle it at the workplace. What I've learned as I've gotten older, when you
Hmm.
play that, you wear that mask a little bit. You try not to be too threatening. Because I have boys from where I grew
It's
up
tough,
at
man.
that are playing ball. They play ball at the U. Now they done. They here, and I can see what they're doing. They're smiling more. They're increasing.
Hmm.
Their voice is higher.
Yeah,
They're trying to be more inviting, but they're not aware that you're inviting demons into your circle. The people who don't
see,
like
that's
you,
the thing.
the people who
Hmm.
like you, regardless of how you act, they're gonna be receptive to you. But you letting the
Exactly.
wrong people get comfortable around you.
You
That's what
can't.
I've
Yeah,
learned. I've learned that hey, you
that's
gotta
true.
cut off. It's not. It don't just happen in the workplace. It happens in your everyday life with the type of people you
Oh
have
yeah,
around you. And I just my patience has gotten down a lot more, and I'm
I
happier
can
as I've gotten
understand.
older.
And that's the thing, man. That's why I would especially recommend this for black men. Just try to develop your own thing, or at least if you can't your own thing, try to ally with other black men or even men of other races who will respect you as a man.
Yeah,
As far as what you do,
yeah,
if shoot, because there's some white men I would rather be around than some brothers,
yeah.
because the brothers, you got some brothers on some bullshit, and
Hating,
then the white men willing to stand up like men.
hating.
I'd rather be around them.
Hating. It's not really. I get how you supporting the brothers, but it's not on a really deep, deep level. It's not
Hmm.
a racial thing. You want to be around men, and it's just those
Men,
same
yeah,
white guys are
exactly.
hungry to be around men too, because they getting the same thing.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
them. I like
yeah,
them. I don't have a problem.
yeah.
And shoot, I've actually gotten along with some white nationalist types who were respecting me as a man. Believe it or
Because
not,
you wasn't
they were
goofy.
actually, yeah, they respected it. They were like, shoot, I was their manager on some jobs, and whatever I asked them to do, I say go clean the toilet. They'd be like, hey, where's the soap at?
Yeah,
But they were men, though.
They-
Of course, we had differences of opinion, but we actually discussed it like
and that's
men,
what it is.
and we respected each other. They say, look, man, we about our folks and stuff. Hey, that's cool, man. I'm
That's
about my
because it's
folks.
refreshing to be around a man. There's a push in
Yeah,
society for men to be goofy. In my neighborhood, you couldn't be goofy,
man.
and as I've climbed, a lot of people want
I'm
you
gonna
to
tell
be
you where that's
silly.
coming from. I'm gonna tell you where that's coming from. Part of it's racial, but part of it's even against men of other races from men at the top because they don't want any men to come against them.
Yeah.
So they know after a while you get a critical mass of men who stand up, things change. You know, and if men understand that and just everybody recognize, okay, look, we can be cool. I don't want you fucking my daughter. I won't fuck yours. It happens anyway,
Yeah.
but we know. Just be
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
about it. I mean, it happens
Yeah.
anyway, but you know what? And actually, shoot, I've met some white men. They would rather have a masculine brother with their daughter than one of their own people.
Yeah.
I've actually met a couple because they were looking at the greater thing, the
They're
man
looking at his
thing.
character.
Because, yeah, and see, here's the thing though, and this is something else too. Even with this feminism and all of that, even they want a man. They try to come against it, but see, they just don't really. They don't want to be with. They don't want to have to be forced to marry a weak man. But as soon as they get around a man who's a man, oh, they come in line too. I've seen women like that. They be real tough. All of a sudden, they get that one man, and they like, yes sir, yes daddy, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But see, you got so many forces arrayed against that for whatever reason. Some of it is some men at the top. Some of it is non-select men, or if you want to, for reference purposes, beta types, men who are weak, men who know they can't compete with that like real man and everything. So it's tough. And look, let's just be real. It's tough. It's a fight, but we're gonna win because it's part of nature. I'll just say that straight up. The man's gonna win. And in fact, I think some men have some detractors of mine got a problem with what I'm saying because I'm telling men to stand up. You get a critical mass of men who stand up, a lot of stuff won't happen. There'll be peace around here. You do have some communities where it's mostly real men. They don't even need the police there. Ain't nothing going to happen.
Yeah.
You get like some rural communities and stuff, especially some white rural communities. You got some real men in them. Shoot, you come through. You might be driving through. It might be just some guy on the side of the road. You ain't thinking about him. He done got on his phone, told everybody else. They just chilling. It's like, hey, what you doing? Yeah, all right. Used to be that. You got some black neighborhoods like that. You got the men up there. They ain't let nothing happen. So as you stay, you needed a pass to walk on that block. You probably got some Hispanic communities like that, some Asian communities, especially across the world. They still exist. But, there's a lot of forces. They becoming fewer and fewer because a lot of forces are going, they taking the easy way out.
Mm-hmm. There's a brother that I know. He has a suit company, and he's from LA. He grew up hard. He improved his life. He out here in Utah as well,
Mm-hmm.
and he keeps running into trouble with the black men that he's dealing with because he's doing well and he's trying to help other black men. And what I
Mm-hmm.
told him was that, man, your problem is that you're a king, you're a lion, and you hanging out with swine. These swine are
Mm-hmm.
wondering, why is he talking to us? Because all you're doing is you think you lifting them up, but really you putting yourself on the same level as them, and they know that they're not
That's
worthy to
deep.
be on your level, and they're disrespecting you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what you need to do, man, is to keep climbing, and it'll give people the
Yeah.
opportunity to look at where you at and to aspire to be where you at. That's how you influence people. My point is that I
Yeah.
don't think, as I'm working on myself, working on my business, and trying to make things happen, I feel like you don't need every black man or every man to be on your side to support you for you to actually build the type of community that you're talking about. I just think you need a
Yeah.
few solid, strong men that
But
all have mutual interests
I agree.
that
I
can
agree.
come together and then make that happen. Because it can happen. It can happen faster
Yeah.
than people think it can happen.
It can, and I agree with you. You need a critical mass. You need a critical mass of men to stand up, and things will change.
Yeah.
Things will change because that's what really is going on. Everybody thinks it's this other stuff, but it's coming down to a social order. That's one thing in my books, especially in sexual chemistry. I say, hey, it goes beyond getting women.
Okay.
Even that sexual energy is about saying, okay, you got this sexual power, you got this influence over women. Okay, use it for something greater. Because I tell you what, like you got a lot of men complaining about how women behaving. If you get a critical mass of the select men and say, hey, ladies, I need y'all to wear skirts down to your ankles, and I need you to wear your hair in buns. Guess what will happen starting the next day?
Mm.
They're going to do that. Because that's one of the things. The women will always submit And I said I wasn't going to use that word publicly, but let's be real with it. They'll submit to those top men. If that top man know what he's doing, and they say this is what you need to do, this is what you need to behave as, boom. Because the women want to get with them, but you say, well, hold up, I need you to change your behavior to deal with me. She's going to do it. She is going to do it because that's how powerful it is. And you get that critical mass of men who stand up and say, no, we ain't allowing this. This is what you need to do. This is how you're going to behave. They're going to do it.
You talk.
And I ain't even gonna say they might do it. They're going to do it because they do it now. You got communities across the world where you got men who stand up and the women ain't giving them any help.
What are your thoughts on female hypergamy? I hear that a lot.
That's,
What are your thoughts on that?
well, one of the things, let me, because first of all, technically, female hypergamy means technically a woman moving up from one social class to the other, right? That's the technical meaning. Only a few women can actually do that. Some very attractive women can do that. Most women stay within their social class. Now, the way people use it, they just going for the best man really in their environment.
Yes.
That's normal with women. The nature of women, they actually control the quality of humans that will be coming to the future. We can have all the seed we want, but that baby got to come through her. They decide the future of any community. They decide the future of the human race because they decide in whose genes are going into the future and whose are not. And their very nature is they want the best or what they even perceive as the best. And see, that's one issue. That's another reason they'll go for the primal thing. And when they're going for it, it's not just the physicality of the man, but it's his masculinity and his intelligence. And I don't mean in an academic sense. But they're looking for the healthiest. They're looking for the best. And that's just their nature.
Look for wisdom.
Now, they don't always get the best. They don't always get that. But that's what they would want. And if you give them an opportunity, they will do that. So that's just part of their thing. That's just a part of it. And if you have some righteous men who are at the top, that's actually better for the entire species.
Yeah.
Because look, I just got to be cold-blooded about it. A lot of these so-called nice guys or non-select guys, the reality is they call themselves nice, but if you really look at them overall, a lot of them don't. You got a small percentage who got houses, cars, they doing something. Just a tiny percentage. Overwhelming majority of them ain't doing shit with their lives.
Yeah.
They are not doing shit. They don't have anything. They got shit they need to work on. The majority of them are not worth it for a woman. And I've told women on my women's channel, I say, look, make sure that guy at least got something going on for him if you're going to deal with it. And that's normal. They're going to go for that. That's just normal. So instead of men getting mad about it, develop yourselves into one of those men. Like it or not, sex is a competition. Mating is a competition. The survival of the fittest. Nature is cold-blooded. And men just got to deal with that. And women have a choice now, especially. There was a period where they didn't have as much of a choice, and in some cultures, they made sure they didn't have as much of a choice. They got a choice now. So if a man really wants a woman, he's going to have to compete. He's going to have to compete.
Yeah.
Every single woman men like us get with, there's somebody else on an equal status trying to get with her too. There's always a competition.
Well, unfortunately for a lot of men, I like to compete. It's in me. I love it. I love improving myself and going at it with everything, whether it's fighting, whether it's going for women or going for money. I love
me.
it. That's what.
Well, that's me too, man. When I've dealt with women, I felt funny if I ain't felt like another man was going for.
Yeah.
I actually had a girlfriend, and I'd be like, "Oh, you guys trying to holler?" And she'd be like, "No." I'd be like, As soon as some guys like, "Well, this guy tried to talk to me," I was like, "Yeah, I'm hitting it though."
Yeah.
Seriously, that's how I be thinking about it. I think about that with my co-parent, man, because even at her age now, she's still getting, she's 50s, but she still get a lot of attention from young boys and stuff. I was like, yeah, but she had my baby though. Yeah, now what, man? So, and that's how it's, honestly, men got to be that way because that's just a reality. That's just a reality. Guys want these fine dimes and stuff. Well, she got 50 men trying to get at her, 100 men trying to get at her. 20 men, 20, 30, 50 men trying to talk to her every day, checking her out.
You got to feel like you're the
You
top
want it,
dude.
you got to compete for
You got
it.
to feel like you're the top dude.
You got to be.
Yeah.
You got to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it makes it a better thing if people were competing to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Too many guys just want the women just to settle and everything.
One of the things you mentioned on one of your videos, you said that a man had to be thorough. And that's what I got from my
Yeah.
neighborhood growing up. I knew just going
Oh.
outside. When you a kid, you go outside, you see people who are better than you at certain things, and
Mm-hmm.
you learn what you need to learn. And I always understood it that you needed to know how to fight or be willing to
Yeah.
fight. Even the dorks
Yeah.
back home knew that you eventually was gonna have to throw some hands, and
Yeah.
you had to play ball. You had to basically hit on
Yeah.
all
That's
levels or whatnot. What that seemed to be lost from the male community in America as a whole. That dude.
well. That's actually a thing in my book. I mean, I use the term real man. I could have said thorough man.
Okay.
That thorough man is hitting on all cylinders. That's how it was. I remember there was a T-shirt somebody made. It was called Main Man, right? And he had, one of those cartoon shirts and dudes in different positions. He's having sex with a woman, main man. He's dunking a basketball with somebody, main man. He's counting some money, main man. When I was coming up, and see, that's ultimately what Nice Guys and Players is based on, the thorough dudes. The dude who could go, like coming up, you need to be able to be good at some sport. You ain't have to be the superstar at it, but you need to be able to compete
Mm.
at some sport effectively. My thing was I could compete at soccer, I could compete at football, I could compete at basketball. You had to be able to throw hands. You didn't have to be like heavyweight champion of the world or anything, but you had to be able to defend yourself in a fight. There was some ass whippings I took and still got respect because I stood up and they were like, you know what? In fact, the dude who would whip my ass, nobody else, he would say, you don't touch him or y'all got to go through me. Seriously, that's how it was. That's how it was. You fight somebody, as long as you stood up to them, even if they won, they'd be the one to pick you up and say, yo, man, I respect that, man. Yo, man, anybody come for you, let me know. I got them. Seriously, I've had that happen. So you had to be able to fight.
These,
You had to be able to talk to girls.
yes, yes.
You
You
had to
had
be
to.
able to talk. You had to be able to shoot the breeze. It was just a normal thing. You had to be man. The older guys they throw you at the woman. Say, man, go talk to that girl. Go talk to that girl. I remember when I was coming up, there was a young girl who moved into my neighborhood. The dudes at my school, she lived around. You knock on her door yet? They were like that. They were like, you had to be able to talk to a girl, even if you were like a nerd. Because in high school and stuff, I was considered, well, in DC, we call it a Bama. I was considered a cool Bama because I used to purposely wear high waters so you could see my polo socks.
Mhm.
But I was a cool Bama, though, because I knew where all the parties are and stuff. And I still went to my prom.
Yeah.
I still had a girl. So you had to be able to hit on all those
Yeah.
levels. And there was nothing wrong with it. It was the full
It,
development. So you had the physicality, that's body game. You could fight. You could hold your own. So that's the fighting, that's the warrior thing and stuff. Even being in school, man. I mean, it might be some change, but when I was coming up, if you did well in school, that was respected as long as you could do other stuff.
mhm.
And some of the most thorough dudes, I mean, some of the best athletes, some of the biggest fighters, they were also good in school too. So you could hit on multiple levels. And definitely you had to be able to talk to women. You couldn't. That was
That
one
was a
thing, man.
must. That
You
was a
you
must.
you, you
I
couldn't.
remember being 14, right? And when I was 14, I won
Mm-hmm.
most athletic, most popular, best eyes, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it was this grimy guy named Aaron Williams. Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Williams, right? And I remember that he would hit on a bunch of girls, and some of the girls, because I was one of the more popular guys, the girls would come to like our group and tell us and talk shit about him behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
eventually, Aaron ended up getting the girl. And I remember thinking to myself, like, if he keeps talking, he keeps doing that, he's gonna get real good at it. And then it just in my neighborhood in general was more social, and I saw that there were guys with beautiful women that you wouldn't even think would be able to get with those women, but it was because they were aggressive. They knew how to speak to a woman. And I think a lot
Oh,
of
you
men
had to.
today, like they forgot about the romantic aspect of like attraction. It's
Oh yeah,
lost.
yeah. Well, you know what, and it's a big social thing. I mean, and even on my channel, I'm getting more into the social aspect and stuff because I'm seeing that's the big thing. A lot of guys don't know how to really just talk to a woman. How you had to be able to shoot that breeze with even just shooting a breeze with just some random woman you walking past. How you talking to her, like how she looking, maybe just saying hi to her or something like that. Because that's a big thing with women, that rap. We used to call it that rap, but that conversation, man. man, you could get a woman want to sleep with you and you don't even bring up sex in it, but that conversation flowing so good, she feeling good, she might be like, hey, let's continue this at my place. You want to come over? You know, seriously. And it wasn't no magic to it. Some guys look at it as some magic or something, or use the term mouthpiece. I was like, man, if you could just talk.
Yeah.
See, to me, I'm gonna tell you what, I ain't get into it as much in Nice Guys and Players or Sexual Chemistry because I thought it was natural. I didn't take any classes or anything. Coming up, it was normal to interact with the little
Especially in
girls.
the
It was just
90s.
normal.
Yeah.
It was normal, man. I was coming up in the 70s and 80s. It was normal to play like spin the bottle or hide and go seek, hide and go get. It was normal.
Yeah.
It was normal to go to a
That's how I
party and
lost my
grind up on a
virginity.
girl and
I
stuff.
lost my virginity playing hide and go get it.
Hey, man, that's how some little girls were. Hey, man, that's how they were. Man, because they had that sexual curiosity. It wasn't about they were in love with you and shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes they be like their parents. There's a lot of young women. I don't know how it is now exactly, but there were a lot of young women, young girls. Their parents weren't home. They just wanted to do it. They weren't in love with you or something. As long as you look halfway cute to them, they were like, hey, you want to come over? Hey, you want to do it? Yeah, okay. Oh, I got some stories behind that. They be taking turns, You doing something with one, the other one sitting there reading a magazine or looking through something while you doing it. And then it'd be her turn. Like, hey,
It's a social aspect. There's something going on in the culture. Like you mentioned when we first started that
Yeah,
this guy said women, I did everything you said I need to do, but women are just mean. I
yeah,
think that I know what he's talking about when he says women are mean, but I know that,
yeah.
like you said, if you just know how to just have a casual conversation, a normal
That's it.
conversation with women, based off that
Hmm.
normal conversation, you can kind of tell if they actually keeping that normal conversation going. You can tell within the first few seconds if somebody's open to talking to you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he just has to learn how to take a loss and basically surround himself
Right.
around women who are receptive to what he delivering.
Well, here's the thing with that, and I would tell any young man this: they still gotta like what you look like, and even if you ain't like, yeah, you still want to hit the gym as best as possible. Let the barber bless you and stuff, and dress well. You gotta have something physically attractive. You gotta have something to stop them. You gotta have something to stop them, and then you gotta take the conversation from there. That's why I tell men, like, just getting started, start out by saying hi to 3 women a day. The purpose of that is to get them comfortable where they can start having small talk with a random woman any place. It could happen anywhere. I've met women on buses, subways, at bus stops, you know. Why there was this one fine woman in downtown DC. I would see her at a bus stop at a certain time all the time. So I just timed it right and then the conversation. And I even started out talking. I just see her and just at first just walk past her. Then next time, hey, how you doing? Keep it going. Say that again. Then say, what we always saying, hi, what's your name? And it just flowed from there.
Hmm.
Flowed all the way to her bedroom.
Yeah.
That's all it took. And it was just got them comfortable. Just talk. It, like don't see one thing too. Too many guys even now they think they gotta have some special word or something. It's like no, just flow with it. She can tell if you're trying to play, and plus if she even talking to you, she got some interest.
Okay.
If she might just say, you might be in a grocery store or something. You're looking at something, and she might be like, "You ever try those?"
Yeah.
I was like, boom, she just opened up. She just opened up everything. Or she might see like you wearing a shirt, something, and say, "Oh, that's a nice design on it." Oh yeah, talk about it. Boom. I was in a store one time behind this. It was an Asian woman too. Nice body, everything. I picked up this magazine. It was a Star Trek thing. She was like, "Oh yeah, definitely. That's some great stuff." She opened it up right there. You know,
Hmm.
it ain't saying every
You got
single
to have an
time it's gonna be
instinct for
sex
it.
or
You got
something.
to have an instinct for it,
Yeah,
man.
but you got to be able to. You never know, because women, they do. That's how they'll like open it up. They'll just open it up. You just gotta pay attention. You know,
Mhm.
there's women in local stores now local grocery stores, department stores, whatever. They just used to my face. Servers at restaurants and stuff. Casual conversation, just casual conversation. And I'm not even trying to. See, that's another thing. Men got to get out of the idea. First, men got to get to the point they can talk to women. And then, even when they talk, everything don't have to be sex. But you
Yeah.
can still get the woman interested. She just like you. See, that's something that's not talked about. A lot of times, women just like a guy. If they just so seriously, they just like you or stuff. They might just talk to you, say, he's real cool and everything, and then they start getting more interested. All of a sudden, you might casually compliment them on their hair. All of a sudden, you notice every time they see you, they always changing their hairstyle to get that compliment again.
Hmm.
And it's just parasocial because you got to have that connection. I don't care how built you are, how handsome you are, how tall you are, how fly your clothes are, you still got to connect. But that other stuff is important to at least catch her eye.
Talk
And
about
if you can catch her eye, then that opens it up for the conversation. Open it up for the conversation. Y'all talk, y'all have fun. Y'all might can go on a date, or to be honest, y'all might can go straight to one of y'all places,
yeah.
or depending where you at, Motel 6 or behind 7-Eleven.
I'm gonna go to the next question. You talk about finding your tribe. How important is that? A lot of people don't talk about that. Finding your group, just finding your tribe of women that
Man,
are open to you.
man, let me hit y'all with some just basic game. And it's ironic. There was a woman on who was on YouTube years ago. I think she just left, but she called herself a Lady Mac, and she broke that game down. It's just very simple. Find the women who like you naturally. That's your tribe. And if anybody pay attention, they're generally going to look the same. Like my tribe is generally women with a fat old ass, either a fat old ass or pretty women who are slim. It's harder with the slim women. I prefer the fat asses, but there's certain types of women. When I look at the women who are naturally friendly to me, all their body builds are similar. That education level is similar. If a man develops himself, what he'll find is he is a reflection of what a woman is looking for. Because on a deep level, let me go deep for a second. All people kind of look for their own reflection in a mate. So the more you develop yourself, the women who match what you bringing out, the broadcast you getting, are going to gravitate towards you. They're going to click. They're going to click. That's your tribe. So the thing is, a man got to figure out which women click with him the quickest. You know, like I said, it's a physical thing. It's a personality thing. And if a man can figure that out, he always has a 90% chance of getting that particular woman if he recognizes that's the type of woman he usually gets. I'm gonna say 90%. And people say, "Oh, that's crazy." I say, "No. If you understand who likes you naturally, think about all the women you that was easy for. You had to like. I mean, they were just easy. You could talk to them all the time. Sex came easy. Think about all the women that you had to work on to get sex. Like you had to do all this stuff, all this extra stuff. Then think about the women who just outright rejected you. Find the commonality with each one. Like with the women who naturally seem like they like you, they want to talk to you, they want to be around you. What's the commonality? And then ask yourself, do you like that commonality? And if you don't, well, maybe you need to because pimps would
Yeah.
say, go for the women who like you.
Yeah.
Players, they don't really work hard. They go for the 9 times out of 10, they go for the women who choose them, who show an interest, who trying to seduce them. Real players.
I'm glad you said that because this is something that that I'm curious about myself because you
Mm-hmm.
kind of nailed it. If there's a group of women that if you don't like your tribe, you need to learn to appreciate your tribe. Because I know that for me, I thought because I was I have a master's degree, collegiate athlete, I would go for these like bougie women, but I would always
Mm-hmm.
get rejected. Well, not always, but I mean, I had a harder time with like the bougier upper class type of women or upper middle
Mm-hmm.
class. I was trying to portray a
Mm-hmm.
certain image. But the women I usually got with was usually, I mean, if you talk about body wise, they usually was super small and petite, which I'm not really into, or they was tall and like not just like in shape, but like tall and strong. You ever see like those?
Mm-hmm.
I want,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like tall and strong. Like yeah, I would get those women a lot. Their attention. But you're right. It's all about knowing who you are and
Yeah.
appreciating what you have.
Yeah. And you'll find, and see, here's the thing with it. Okay, like I always talk about the woman's butt dump. I wasn't into having a woman having a big fat ass at first. I was more of a leg man. Seriously. But then I said, wait a minute, all these fat butt women are like showing interest. Maybe I need to learn to appreciate that.
Mm.
You know? I mean, that's not bad, but it wasn't like a major thing with me.
Yeah.
But then I started noticing, I was like, wait a minute, she got a fat
They're
ass.
gonna treat you
I started
better.
paying attention.
They'll treat you
Yeah.
better too.
Yeah, that's the main thing. See, too many men struggling against a woman. You want to develop yourself, get the type of woman who like you naturally. They ain't gonna struggle. You ain't gonna struggle with them. You ain't gonna have to fight them. You know, you don't have to work hard. They the type, if you say, okay, I'm gonna work on this business, they got you, because it's not just the physicality, it's not just the class, it's the like you click with them. That's the word, click. You just click.
I got.
The personalities fit together.
I have a few more questions I want to ask you on male
Mm,
empowerment. Now,
mm-hmm,
currently there's a war on masculinity, and you teach men. You haven't used this in a while, but you talk about the wolf. You talk about releasing the
mm-hmm.
wolf and how
Release
the
that
wolf can
wolf.
benefit you not just in
Uh-huh.
relationships but in life in general. Can you discuss that a little bit
Well,
more?
well, that's part of the inner masculine. That's that man in you that just want to go out and reach out and get it. I mean, you still got to you still got. Let's put it like this: you don't want to stifle it. You kind of want to ride that wolf. You know, when you want to make that raise, get that raise on a job, you want to be that type going to walk in there and say, "Look, this is why I deserve a raise. Look him dead in the eye." When you're in that business, it gives you that energy to do that hustle. When you like working out and stuff, and you get those days you do not feel like getting out of bed. You know what? You rather just eat a bunch of food, but then you have the discipline to go do it. It pushes you to that next level. And also, too, sometimes that wolf gotta like snarl, bare those fangs. Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you got, unfortunately, in this society, people think it's gotten all peaceful. It's like, no, it hasn't.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta let the person know, hey, you'll go to their job.
yeah,
And I ain't trying to be funny or trying to just say, and there ain't no light talk. But seriously, sometimes you gotta walk into some place like, yeah, what y'all gonna say?
you got to.
Unfortunately,
You
unfortunately,
got
I
to,
mean,
especially if you
you
got
got
things
some
going for
guys
you.
think, yeah, some guys think it can be peaceful, but nah, you got predators. You got predators. Shoot, you in the wrong place. People checking out everything. It's like moving in certain neighborhoods. Yeah. If you got like you get some 60-inch TV, you better move it in the middle of the night. Seriously, because you move it in during the day, or they see you got something. No, somebody checking out something. Sometimes you gotta let them know. Okay, this is what you gotta deal with. Like a story I like to tell when I was working at this gym. It was a snowy night, and there was some young boys hanging around this member's car. And this dude was somebody. The car belonged to this dude, the member. He could bench press 400. He went out there with snow coming down, nothing on but his tank top, and walked out there and told him to back off his car. And he came back in and he said, I just had to let him know what they had to deal with. 20 minutes later, those same young boys robbed like a Chinese place. They robbed them. They had weapons on them. So he walked out there and basically punked a couple of armed dudes and stuff. And sometimes you gotta be that way,
Yeah,
you know. Sometimes you gotta let people know. I don't care, even in this society and stuff. Yeah, people will get in trouble and stuff, but you gotta let them know. Look, this how far you gotta go if you're gonna mess with them.
yeah,
Because you do have some people. Because if unfortunately if you let them know they can get away with stuff with you, oh, there's some people who will try you. They will punk you. They will take advantage of you on your job. I told you about that manager on my last job and stuff. I was about to go to his job. I found out later after I left, he had threw a box at somebody, at another person on there at the job. He threw something at that person's head.
uh,
I said, if he had did that to me, the police would have been called. Because I would have got fired that day.
yeah,
Because I would have grabbed him and I bust his head open. But sometimes you got to be that way. You got to have that attitude. You got to be ready. If somebody were to touch my sons, my family, even my co-parent now, oh no, I'm going for it. Any of my lady friends, somebody step to them wrong, I'm ready to go for it. And unfortunately, you got to be that way. Unfortunately,
yeah,
because you got women out here. I've seen some videos of women being like followed home and stuff. They got to get in their house real quick before being run up by some young dude. I bet they wish they had a man in there who would step out and say, "What you about to do?"
yeah.
You know? Unfortunately, yeah, we need more men like that just to keep the peace. A true warrior don't look for a fight, but will end one.
Let's end it on that note, Ron. I could actually somehow was like, man, that was a powerful statement, man. And
Amen.
anyways, I just want to say thank you for being here. Like, I've been following you for a long time. You somebody
No, I
in
appreciate it, man.
space. I stopped listening to most people in the Black manosphere simply because it wasn't serious enough. I felt like I couldn't what they were saying or just who they were. It didn't resonate with me. But I can tell you carry the way you based off the way you carry yourself, and you have your three
Mm,
channels. It's more along. You're more. We have more. I have more in common basically with you. And it was a
mm.
pleasure meeting you at the Self Improvement Summit. It's a pleasure
It's an
having
honor
you
to meet you,
here,
man.
and I hope that we can continue to do business in the future.
Oh, we will, man, because I remember when I first started, man, you helped me out with something. Like, some people, they'll see something, they criticize. You were like, hey, Ron, this is what you need to do. I forgot what it was exactly. It was some technical stuff, but you shared videos with me and everything. You showed me, you say, okay, Ron, this is how you can take care of this and stuff. Because I say, I don't mind criticism, just help me out with it. You
Yeah.
helped me out with something. And you didn't know me like that, but you said, okay, let me help you out with this. You showed me how, and it was positive.
Mm,
And I always respect you for that. And I see where you going as a young man. Shoot, we need more young men. We need more genius bruisers like yourself.
mm.
We need that thorough man like yourself can deal with them physically, but then you got that high intellect.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to be a man. Like I want an army of men like you. I want an army.
Yeah.
If we get that, trust me, we change a whole lot.
Be
You
dangerous.
know?
You say you can read
It's a
men. I remember you mentioned this a few times. Sorry. You said you could read men. You said something about your eyes, like the way you look at people, you pierce through their soul, and you can read their personality, their
Oh
character.
well, it's just people in general, and really that's coming from growing up in a rough area,
Okay.
man. Because you had to, man. You can always get an idea because you needed it for your survival. Because I grew up in the area, man. We had a mental institution where they like some of the patients would get up during the day. You had to. It was a rough area. It was in Southeast DC, and that's where I learned it. Even when people think they bullshit me, if I'm sitting there just looking at them, they can say whatever, and I might let them think they're getting away with it. But I say, oh, okay, they carrying it like that. All right, I could call them out on it or just let them go because it ain't bothering me right now. But I put it in the back of my head, and I've had women tell me it looked like I was looking right through them, and I was, because it is after a while, and it's just growing up. It ain't like you can pick up a book and do it. You just pay attention to people. You pay attention to little nuances, text, what they doing. Learn how to communicate with them on that way.
For the men that are actually improving themselves, working on their bodies, working on their careers, trying to elevate, and they
Hmm.
encounter haters within their social group, people who don't know them,
Hmm.
and people within their family. I've encountered all of them, and I've had
Hmm.
to deal with it or whatnot. Do you have any last words for those type of men who are going through that
Uh,
and are basically
look for your spiritual family, man. Stay strong, man. Stay strong. You're always going to catch that. It's annoying. It really it will get to the point sometimes you say, "Damn, I wish we lived in a society where I could just slit their throat and keep walking."
yes,
That's how deep.
that's how
I,
it
I
is.
ain't, I ain't encouraging that, but it gets annoying.
Yeah,
Again, is all it is some little hate, and we'll say hate for what? I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a man. Instead of hating, once you find out what I'm doing, maybe I'll help you. And then that's the thing. And it's a shame. And it's their own weakness. They trying to break you down instead of building themselves up. You know, because they probably had they got it within them. They got the inner masculine within them. Bring that out. They got the wolf within them.
mm,
You know, but you got some people who want some hate and they want the most attention. I'm saying, look, man, if we want to change, ultimately we got to work together, or at least we don't have to like each other or hang out, but work together. Like if we're going in the same direction, we're going in the same. Okay, we don't like each other personally, but we going in the same direction. Just like I say, okay, you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to have a beer with you, but we're gonna go in this. Let's just do our thing.
mhm.
You know. But you got some guys, they not strong in themselves. See, here's the thing to understand, especially for a young man like yourself. You're a tall brother. You know how they say you gotta be over 6'2". You're over 6'2". You're over 6 if you're taller than me. So you're over 6,
Yeah,
muscular and stuff. The lady saying you handsome, you highly intelligent. Still gotta ask you about that camera you using, man. That
Yeah.
was a badass camera. God damn, I was like, good
You know,
lord.
I'm surprised most people don't recognize a good camera when they see one, and you did.
Man, shoot, man. I've been around some cameramen. I've been around some professional photographers and stuff. So, and that's just minor. Not even major. And plus, I got a little camera I use.
Okay. So you
Not
know.
not and not the one I did my couch video, and that was just my phone right here and everything. I got a 8K, I mean a 4K camera up here, but even then I'm looking at it, it's like, let me see if I can do better. I'm always looking to
Yeah.
improve. But my point is, instead of, some people just got it like that. Don't get mad at them. Figure out what you can do. Because one of the things I did coming up, like, I went to like getting all the women at first, right? Yeah, I was getting some, but not like some other dudes. I just started hanging around those other dudes. So like, I had one dude on my college campus, man. I mean, he was getting women like crazy. He would cut my hair.
Yeah.
And I told him I call him Big Brother and stuff. We still communicate. All of us, our group still communicate on Facebook and stuff. He's Big Brother, you know. I ain't get mad at him. I ain't because he was getting with some women I want to get with. I ain't get mad at him.
Yeah.
I sat in the chair and let him cut my hair and just listen when he dispensed his wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hung out with him and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
The other couple players, man, I ain't get mad at them. Some people were trying to hate on some of the players on the campus. I was like, hey, man, why don't we just chill out? We be sitting around drinking beers and stuff.
Hmm.
I was the least in the room and had no problem with it because I said, I'm just going to soak up what y'all teaching.
Yeah. I hear you. All right, well, Ron, thank you for being here, man, and until next time. All
I
right.
appreciate
Yep.
it, man. I'm honored to be on here, man.
Yep. All right. See ya.
All right, man. Peace and blessings, man.